Joe, what do you like about the way Vidal has thrown the ball so far?
The strikes that he's thrown, quality strikes, and how quickly he works. I mean, he gets the ball and throws it, and he can throw any pitch at any time. And he's done the little things as well. He's fielded his position. He's hasn't walked people, and he's kept runners close.
I know you saw him a lot throughout spring training, but in the short time that he's been up here, have you learned anything more about him?
Well, I think what you learn that he hasn't been intimidated by this atmosphere. I think anytime a guy gets called up for the first time, you wonder how he's going to act compared to maybe how they do in AAA or in big league camp. But he seemed to be the same guy.
Bosch had a successful night offensively last night. When the team is struggling, how difficult is it to not put him back in the lineup on a day like today? I know he's in the lineup, but does it go into your decision, the fact that he had a hot battle?
Yeah, well, I'm also thinking long-term, too. 17 days in a row here. It's getting hot, and, you have to make sure. And, sometimes you can think of each as a young guy, but, I mean, he's one of those guys with some age on him, too.
Right in the middle here, Alyssa. Natalie?
Ivan Nova is pretty eager to get back into the rotation. How much closer is he after last night's performance, if at all? And what else or what more do you need to see from him in order for that to happen?
Oh, I mean, we really liked what he did last night. He saved our bullpen, and we know that the ability he has. I mean, we've seen him, and I think it's just doing it consistently is the important thing, and getting back to where he was, the first half of last year.
Who else? Bruce?
Joe, you said after last night's game, these things happen when you're talking about a team going one way or the other way. Is there anything you do as a manager to try to jumpstart the club? Is there anything that you can hope for starting tonight?
Well, I mean, you hope you can get a lead early on is what you hope for, and you can build upon that. We just haven't scored a ton of runs lately, but every team, I said, goes through that, and every day's a new day. That's the great thing about our game. It's not necessarily the case if you're a starting pitcher, but as a position player it is. And these guys can, turn it on at any time.
Andrew.
Joe, Ichiro, I mean, you mentioned that just giving him a rest. Also, do his struggles have anything to do with giving him a night off here?
Well, he's been getting some hits. I mean, he's been getting some hits for us, so but it's just more preventative in a sense, making sure everyone stays strong here. Bosch swung the bat well last night, but I worry about. I mean, these guys are 38, 39. Some of these guys running them out there every day.
Sweeney.
Joe, you're still anticipating to share in Euclid tomorrow?
Well, I know that has been reported, and as I've said all along, when they get here, they get here. And when they decide and we decide that they're ready, they're ready. I hate putting a date on something because if a guy says, you know what, I just don't feel right. For example, if a guy hasn't played, he's only played a few games and he didn't have a full spring training, and he says, you know what, I need some more at bats. When you put a date on, everyone says, oh, was there a setback? So I think I don't like putting dates on. If they're here tomorrow, I'll be happy. If they're here the next day, I'll be happy. Just so when they get here, they get here.
If nothing goes wrong today, is that what you
It's
are
not my
anticipating?
call. It's not my
Brian
call.
has said that.
Well, that's
much.
what Brian said, so maybe you should ask Brian.
Do you have a date yet for Andy?
Who, Andy? We're looking at possibly on Monday is the date for Andy.
Pete, to your left, Joe.
Joe, when you faced the Red Sox to start the season, nobody knew what to expect from either team really coming into this year. Now they're coming in this weekend, and you guys are battling for first place. Does it feel like Yankees, Red Sox again? Or
Yeah, I think it does. I don't know if that feeling ever goes away, but I think it does. It's interesting. We've both played really well. It's the end of May, and we know the summer is coming, and those months are extremely important. So I think it does.
George.
Joe, when you do get your players back, are you looking forward to dropping Robbie back to where he hit last year for you?
George, your lineup against a right-hander could be different than against a left-hander. We could keep him in the two-hole as well. I mean, the one thing about Robbie Cano is you want him to have as many at-bats as possible. I mean, that's the bottom line. So it's very possible we could keep him there.
Dave.
Joe, they announced that they're going to honor Hideki in July.
Oh, great.
And I know you weren't around for much of his career here, but certainly a very important time. How special do you think that day will be, and how deserving is he?
I think it's extremely deserving. When you talk about Hideki Matsui, I think about great player, great teammate, someone who was prepared to play every day and gave everything he got, even through, his knee injuries. He found a way to always get big hits for the New York Yankees, and you can go back to the World Series and how big he was there. But I mean, you'll hear every player to a man say what a great teammate he was, and I think everyone will look forward to that day.
Andrew.
What's your plan with David Phelps in terms of will he make his next start, or is he going to go back to the bullpen? Or?
No, I mean, our plan right now is for him to be in the rotation. So, depending on where we go with Andy, where he actually slots in, I mean, we'll have to figure that out.